I bet everyone has a smartphone, and so my first question to you is, what is the total value of all metals by weight of a smartphone? So not not the price you pay in the shops. So it's more, you know, a smartphone consists of different metals. So just what do you think? Yeah. So I have no feedback, but yeah, I give you the right answer, and I hope you have chosen this answer B. So it's €1.11, and I'm not quite sure, but it's demonstrating the, the the value of the metal itself is not as high as maybe you have expected, and this is also, yeah, the idea is to show you the value of a smartphone is more than all the little parts it consists of or it's made of, and so this is also a hint to keep the value of smartphones alive, which means to prolong the product life, for instance, to use it as often as possible, to reuse it, then you can keep the value. The next question is, so because we're talking about metals, just for this quiz now, what do you think? What percentage of the metals value is gold? You know, we have different metals in a smartphone. I give you 5 seconds. Good, time is over. The correct answer is here 77%. And this is also interesting because if you're a recycling company, what do you think on which metal you would focus? Yeah, right. So it's gold. So we see, even if it has a small amount of the whole weight of a smartphone, it makes 73% of the value. And so a smartphone consists of around about 53 to 60 different metals. But the motivation to get all the metals out of a smartphone is, of course, pretty low, because it's really difficult to build up a recycling process, which makes sense for economical perspective. And so you are focusing normally on the 10 or 15 biggest metals, and all the rest is gone if you do the recycling. So those both questions are a little introduction why we want to focus on circular economy and especially on the reuse. So now we have talked about the small smartphone, and now we want to think big. And I hope you can answer this question already. I hope it has been part of your lecture. So the question is, how circular is the global economy currently? I give you again 3 or 5 seconds. Right. I bet you have chosen the right answer. It's 8.6%. And yeah, this number or this figure is from the Circularity Gap report. I bet you have already heard about it. Otherwise, I recommend it to check it out. And why is it important, this figure? Because material use and carbon emissions are really linked. And this study is saying that 70% of all greenhouse gases are directly linked of material handling and use, or extraction, processing, building also products, and so on. And they're also saying if we are able to increase circularity, we will also reduce carbon emissions. So I think it's also interesting to have a motivation to dig deeper into circular economy. 1 second. So enough questions now. So this was just the introduction, and yes, to explain what we are doing. So AFB is tackling two topics. You start with the right one. This is what I have talked about. It's about circular economy itself. It's about handling resources and so on. And currently, if we see this picture, we see that e-waste is the fastest growing waste stream on our planet currently. And yeah, and we are not able to handle such waste streams currently. And this is one of the big issues we're tackling. And on the left side, you see what is the basic idea of our company, AFB. So still from the very first beginning, inclusivity was part of our DNA. We are a social business, which means we are not a foundation, but we are also not a normal company. We're in between, and our idea is to solve so an issue in society or solve an issue in the environment with or by economical thinking or doing. And you can see that people with disabilities have still disadvantages in our society. For instance, people who are unemployed and disabled, they need to search for a new job 100 days longer than people without disabilities. This is just a short example. And yeah, of course, you see some colleagues. They're also working in Berlin. Yeah. So why do we need to act? Yeah, please let's focus on the left side first. Yeah, in Germany we have now 7 million people with disabilities. That's a lot. This is nearly 10%, or it's 9.5% exactly of the total population. And I think, which is really interesting to know, to understand how you become disabled, and it's not in general by birth. It's normally if you have an accident or if you became ill. So it's so at the end, every one of us can become disabled one day, and so everyone would be happy to live in an inclusive society, and this is what we are working on. And again, on the right hand, yeah, if you split up the e-waste stream, you will find out that nowadays nearly 50% of the e-waste stream has become monitors, computers, phones, printers, and so this electronic waste itself will become bigger in the whole e-waste stream. And the other 50% are currently refrigerators, washing machines, and so on. But we see that in this graphics, the green part is increasing also. And yes, of course, it's a pity. We have different regulations, even in Europe, but the e-waste is it's going from the global south in general to the global. It's going from the global north to the global south, despite all regulations we already have. And this is also what we're tackling. So, and yeah, now after this introduction, I want to show you how we are doing, or how we are dealing with both topics, circular economy and inclusion. So the basic idea or our mission is that we really believe that people without and with disabilities can work together if you create the right circumstances, if you create the right environment to work together, and that you are able to provide professional services for the primary, for the normal economy outside that other businesses are interested in. And yeah, and we really try to live this basic idea of sustainability, to have economical, ecological, and social impacts at the end. At the same time, it's also for us a daily challenge, but we are really are doing it. And yeah, now I want to show you how exactly. So what we are doing is that we have corporations with banks, with companies, with public sector, what else, and they hand us over their IT devices, which are not longer needed, which are, yeah, they don't need any longer, and we pick them up with our own trucks, with our own cars, and we bring them to the next locations. Currently, we have 20 locations in 5 European countries. So we want to avoid long distances. This is also because of environmental reason, but it's mostly because of data protection reasons, that we want to avoid that trucks with computers with sensitive data are too long on the road. And yeah, we bring them to the next locations. So our secret headquarters is in Ettlingen. It's close to Karlsruhe, where I've been at this weekend. I'm from Berlin, by the way. And yeah, we bring them to the next location. And then we do the recording, which means every device get a kind of QR code, and from this moment it's traceable and trackable. So all our partners have access to our own ERP system, and they can trace now on which step in the process is a specific device. And we record all information which are crucial: the manufacturer, the types, the series number, what else, the storage, and so on. And the next important step is that we bring the devices to a specific storage with limited access. So even I'm not allowed to have access to such storages, because you have still the sensitive data from the companies on the computers. So only special trained colleagues are allowed to do it. Then the next important step is the data deletion. So our goal is always to delete the data with a software. So because our aim is always reuse. And so we are working here with an external partner, which is providing us the best standards and possibilities. You can imagine we have so many, I'm not quite sure if you have a technical background, but there are so many different ways of deleting data and also different wishes from companies that you need nearly a daily updated version to meet all these requirements. And we do this. By the same time, we also do a kind of grading, where we decide which device is already functional, which device needs to get repaired or upgraded. And we also check, so sometimes, okay, not sometimes, it's also important to check which device is not able for the reuse process. There are different reasons for it. But sometimes if you are not able to delete the hard disk completely with software, then later we have to shred it because of the data protection law. Then the refurbishing starts. So we all do the cleaning. It sounds maybe easy, but all the different IT departments in different companies, they tag everything with little stickers and codes and numbers, and you have to remove everything and repair it. We install new software, and we upgraded the computers normally. And when we look at notebooks, I would say the standard procedure is to replace the hard disk with an SSD drive. And then we do this, we started selling. We have own shops, we have own online shop, but we have also corporations. Wow, I don't know the English term, but it's called Haus und Stiftens, where other non-profit organizations can buy soft and hardware to special conditions, not only from AFB, but also from other traders and producers. And we guarantee, or we give guarantee up to 3 years, also to give a signal of trust that people can trust in refurbished hardware, and they can be sure it's working. And it's more what you get if you buy something new, for instance. So, and now we have a look at the right circle, the smaller one. So all our processes really focus on reuse, but as I've mentioned, it's not always possible to save every equipment. Sometimes we get really old processor versions, generations, and even for us, it's not possible from a financial view to build a process and to sell it afterwards, because we have experience now, and we also know even some schools would not want to have such notebooks even for free. So sometimes, or like monitors with the old, with the old resolutions, and it's difficult to sell it afterwards, even if they are still in function. So what we're doing is that all data and smartphones with sensitive data, which are not where we are not able to delete it by software, we shredder it. Then we do the dismantling. So the basic idea is here to to get spare parts for other devices later on, but also to prepare everything for the real recycling. So we split up everything in different fractions and then deliver them to recycling partners, which are in Europe, and yeah, they do the recycling process more in detail. Yeah. So just some little pictures, because just to give you, it's better to have an idea how it looks like in real. So you can see in the first picture the transport and logistics. My colleague is bringing the devices into the storage. Then we have the recording process. You see how a storage look like. Yeah, it's not different like in other companies, but as I've mentioned, with restricted access. And yeah, this is really for our employees. It's pretty simple to see if the data erasure process has been successful or not. So if you have the screen check, then everything is fine. If not, we have to shredder the hard disk. And yeah, we do some pictures from the refurbishment, then the dispatch department, and of course we have shops where we're selling it. And yeah, currently we are able to refurbish and remarket 2 of 3 devices which we are processing. Yeah, and yeah, of course, just a picture from our marketing. So I like this picture really much. To how does shredder material looks like afterwards, and we are also to provide different level of shredder sizes. Yeah, right. So when our if you go back in time, we see that our journey has begun 2004. Our founder Paul has founded this company, and yeah, after I will not mention everything now. So but maybe one thing is that in 2012 we have won the German Sustainability Award. I think this was super important for AFB, because we are not a brand who's famous everywhere already. So awards are really helpful for us to raise awareness. And which is really interesting, that we were able to win the German Sustainability Award the second time. Yeah, and it's a great success of all of our employees. And yeah, as you can see, we are still growing. 2015 we have been 300 employees, and nowadays we are already 450 now. So and we have also opened a new store in Strasbourg 1 month ago. So we are really have the plan to become the biggest social and green IT company in Europe, and yeah, that's the plan. Just I think this picture is speaking for itself. And even if you're not represented in other countries, so now we are in Switzerland, Germany, Austria, France, and Slovakia. But even if we are not represented in some other countries, like Netherlands or Italy, we also have some corporations there. But you need always a crucial amount of IT partnerships that make sense to open an office or a store. So what is our impact? I think this is, of course, important to understand. Does it make sense what you're doing or not? And so what we are doing is we hand over a kind of, in English we call it certificate, in German it's Urkunde, which is a little bit difficult to translate it, but so we hand this over to our partner, or to all of our partners, and to provide them with social and ecological figures. which they can use for their own sustainability report. And yeah, we think it's also important because yeah, because we see us ourselves as a part of the value chain, and so we also want to be transparent and want to demonstrate that we are doing more than just deleting data and reselling computers, that it has a bigger purpose behind this project. So and yeah, the most interesting figures is mostly how many carbon emissions we have saved through the process, but we are also offering other KPIs like how many raw materials have been saved, or how many primary energy has been reduced, or even now how many toxicity have we reduced. And this is something new. We have updated this certificate this year. And to provide more figures, and also to provide more figures regarding more IT devices. So I haven't mentioned it yet, but we are processing everything from a smartphone to a server, so from small to big. And before the update, we were only able to provide figures for monitors, notebooks, and PCs, and now we can provide figures for much more devices. And yeah, and we really, and the companies can use it for communication, they can use it for the report. Currently, it's not so easy to use it directly when it comes to carbon accounting, so they are allowed to mention it in the report, but it's not currently part of the carbon accounting itself. Yeah, it's maybe hopefully something for the future. And yeah, and we also support the SDGs, of course, but maybe we can talk about this if we have some time left. So this is what our partners get. And of course, we do this also for us on the company level. But this is, yeah, so I try to implement the term collective impact in my company. So this is the result of what we are doing at the end, and how many resources or carbon emissions we have saved through all our 1,000 of partnerships. And yeah, last year we have been able to save above 43,000 tons of carbon emissions, and this is pretty nice. And also the negative impacts of our company is already filtered, so it's really you can say a good positive impact here. And yeah, what else? You can see on the little picture here, we have processed about 470,000 devices, and we were able to market 68%. So as I mentioned it, every second or 2 or 3 devices we're able to market. And we also, if you can go to the middle part, that we're also supporting other school or other nonprofits. We also have cooperations with Joblinge, for instance, where young people with less chances have the chance to get ready for the first for the primary labor market, and we support them with IT devices, for instance. So we also, even if we are on our own social business, we also try to have some other yeah, projects where we can support on the long term. Yeah, and you can see here, I think I haven't mentioned it, I'm sorry, it's a really most important part, honestly, that nearly every second colleague in our company has a disability. So it's 45% of all people in our company have a disability. And yeah, but we all say all work on the primary labor market, and they pay taxes and all those stuff, and they are not getting social support. At the end, they, yeah, I've mentioned they pay taxes themselves. And of course, we have in our company social workers and inclusion manager who is really supporting them and gives them advice, and they can talk with them. Yeah, I skipped the awards. I've mentioned that it's really important for us to raise the awareness, be more visible, and yeah. And yeah, just to give you some little examples, so we are give KPIs, or also I would say ready to communicate text texts to our partners, which they can use for different sustainability standards. We also are visible at our partners. Like sometimes we do kind of pop-up store, you can say, or we are part of their stakeholder dialogues or sustainability days, where we can do something together. Of course, yeah, we have several other projects, but where we are on the right picture, you can see the example regarding Joblinge. We also have working in a project with an NGO, LabDo, which is also hand over IT devices to yeah, young people without financial resources. Yeah, so I just give you just a hint. These are some of our partners. Yeah, we have small, medium-sized, and big partners. Of course, you can imagine such slides. Companies always place the big ones. But we have really long-term partnerships, like with Siemens, now above 10 years. And yeah, it's that you can really speak from strategic partnerships also. And what else? So this was our core business, and now, yeah, some other little projects we are doing. We are also part of some research projects, also with Laura. I'm sorry it's not represented here. We also have supporting a master thesis now with the student of Laura. But here it's an example, because we have the smartphone for our introduction today. We are also working with Fraunhofer and others together to find some strategies for more closed product cycles, new business models, new design concepts, how to prolong the product life of smartphones. Then we have a project together with Telefonica and NABU. It's not for business, it's for private people, because, you know, we have above 200 million smartphones, which we are collecting and saving in all German drawers together. And the idea is how can we bring all the 200 million smartphones back to the recycling, and this is a project here. And we also have our own projects internally in our company. We have also just 2 persons who are not doing something else than this. It's about yeah, shaping the digital education also, where we are yeah, bringing IT devices to schools. You know, in Germany we have a little lack in this regarding the speed of equipping schools with IT devices, and we have a special project here. So it's not for free, but we have special conditions for schools. And of course, we have also set targets. This is, by the way, my last slide, Laura. I'm not quite sure how the time, if I'm on time or not. But I have also to update such figures in the future. But our goal is, for instance, to employ 300 employees with disabilities until 2025. And also we have goals saving resources and energy and carbon emissions. And I'm sorry, this slide is in German. I will translate it after this presentation also into English. We have really discussed internally and externally with our stakeholders on which SDGs we have an impact. And we have been screened all the 169 sub goals and to find out where we can make an impact. Yeah, that's everything now. So thank you for your attention. I'm sorry I couldn't follow the chat, but I hope Laura has done it. And yeah, thank you. And this is my slogan. Collaboration is the key for an inclusive and circular future, because I believe that the the business model, the supply chains, and what else. Everything is so complex. It's not possible to become circular on your own. You need partners.